So we're grateful and honored to have Tushar Panchal here from Toll Group with us today. So Tushar has over 20 years of experience across different industries and working in various procurement and commercial roles. So welcome, Tushar.
Thank you, Adeline.
How are you doing today?
Quite well, except maybe for the weather could be improved.
Okay, so just to give you all a brief introduction about Tushar, he is the Procurement Business Partner for Toll based in Melbourne, Australia. So his main focus is internal stakeholder management in the country across division and business units and functions to understand their requirements for the development of appropriate procurement strategies with the purpose of maximizing efficiencies for the business, as well as ensuring compliance and execution of procurement activities, procedures, and initiatives. So Tushar, would you be able to tell us what are some of the recent key digital initiatives embarked by Toll in Australia?
Thanks, Adeline. Thanks for the fantastic introduction. So just for everyone's information, Toll has a history of 130 years supporting 20,000 customers across the world, and we have 500 sites across 25 countries, as well as a forward network planning across 150 countries, and we are proudly part of Japan Post. To answer your question, Adeline, within Toll, we have got a strong focus on growth and customer centricity, and as part of that, Toll is on a journey to leverage technology that allows us to better deliver outcomes for our stakeholders. For example, we've got an innovation center solely focused on technology in Singapore, and within the procurement space, with all the initiatives happening, where we are really trying to focus is on strengthening our data analytics capability, implementing e-auction and ERFX, obviously the contract management system, as well as looking at the broader area of P2P. And finally, we have just implemented the catalog management system from Sausage. That really helps us streamline our processes on low value, high transaction purchases. And, it's really about how do we leverage technology to drive the optimum outcome and derive the maximum value.
Opinion, what differentiates Sausage from other similar procurement platform providers such as Coupa, Ariba, or even marketplaces like Amazon?
That's a great question. So one of the things that really attracted us to Sausage was the simplicity of its user interface. And I'm a non-technical person from an IT perspective, but what I found what I call it's not a very heavy product. So it can overlay on your existing IT systems without disturbing anything underneath. And as and when required, you can actually integrate with your existing systems. And it's really, a product where we saw the opportunity, if required, to customize module and the analytics sitting behind it and the workflows associated with that. And it's great that they can actually also integrate with other marketplace platforms, like, for example, with Amazon. And one of the other things that really attracted is that they actually came to us and said, look, we proposed this way for the implementation and the design that goes into it, which was fantastic for us because, they actually came with the knowledge they had and shared with us. And the support structure they have in place, it's not simply a phone number or an email address, which we do have, but we actually have access to real people. So if we have an issue, we can reach out to them and they respond within a certain time. So, those sort of issues really get resolved quite quickly. And adding to that in terms of their overall commercial proposition for us, it really made sense to go with Sausage.
So what were some of the experiences you have in implementing Sausage at Toll Group?
I confess there were some late nights and nervous moments before we went live. But the one I really want to call out is a sense of purpose when we started this initiative. And I believe it's important that you really get your business requirements right, or at least most of them right, before you start on any initiative. It goes without saying that you need to consult extensively with a range of stakeholders. So, your end users, your operations people, the vendors you want to bring on board into your catalog portal, finance. So that consultation is critical to the success of any project. And always be flexible with your plan, because everyone can have a plan until something goes wrong. So, be prepared to be agile with your plan, refine some things that you're doing and the way you're working, make sure that the key people across the business are across what you're doing, and, make sure that you get the minimal viable product right. There'll always be enhancements, but your minimal viable product is your base around which you're going to sort of introduce that particular initiative to the end users. And the experience around training and support post-implementation. Our key experience is always be responsive to your end users, because at the end of the day, it is about the end users and the business, not the technology itself.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. So like our next question would be the reason and context for you guys choosing and implementing Sausage. So what were the pain points and problems that you guys were trying to solve at Toll Group?
Look, with a business such as ours, with a focus on growth and some structural changes, we were looking at ways to replace an existing system to ensure we were fit for growth. This meant coming up with a solution that would reduce the complexity around purchasing, but at the same time maintain the overall governance framework around compliance and approvals, price certainty, harmonization, standardization. So we initially focused on some principles, such as what is the ease and experience of the purchasing journey for the end user? So it's not simply about clicking the button or focus, but what's the end-to-end journey for the end users? As well as how can we, make it easier for not just the end users, but the back end side of things, which is really around your approvals, your payment processes, and how do we reduce the ordering time, track orders. And the biggest thing we were looking is, you can have all this, but what's the analytics actually supporting this entire operations? Can we derive some valuable information from all the data being generated? And as all of you are aware, we also sort of were quite conscious about security and getting a SaaS product that wasn't too heavy on our own sort of IT infrastructure.
Yeah. So what about the challenges faced and how the team overcome those obstacles like in the process?
One of the most pressing matters that we were faced with was really the implementation and go live within a certain time frame. So to put it in perspective, from the time we formalized our engagement with Sausage and the time we went go live was actually slightly less than 3 months. Now, that's a tremendous achievement for everyone involved in that initiative. And what this meant was aligning various stakeholders and resources to a plan and sticking with it. And importantly, identifying and working with the right people and management support was critical. And then you have to come up with, things just outside the scope of things that need to be customized. And, within this given environment, people falling sick. So to overcome some of these challenges, we really empowered the people involved in this initiative to drive the implementation forward, to drive this project forward. And it was overseen by a body for key decision and milestones. And everyone knew where things were, what needed to be done. And we actually had team members, including our team members from Sausage, holding everyone accountable. So in that sense, I'm just grateful and really privileged that I had a fantastic team of people to work with, and we were able to overcome majority of the challenges on this initiative.
That's great to hear. But we would also love to hear your views on the potentials in terms of how will this platform expand and the ROI of such platforms, especially in justifying to your internal stakeholders.
So that's a really good question. Now, before I answer that, let me take a step back. That for any initiative, digital or otherwise, one has to answer a fundamental question. How does it fit into the overall business strategy? And where does it sit in the overall procurement roadmap? based on the outcome of that question, and you should use that as a starting point, you need to be able to map out specific outcomes that links along with your roadmap. That provides a good base to start building your business case and your ROI on such platforms and such initiatives. Now, anyone who has worked in procurement will attest that internal stakeholders can be challenged. But the challenge can also be an opportunity if you link the business strategy roadmap and specific outcomes within a defined timeframes. At Toll, we were just beginning to do this. And as part of implementing SourceEdge and actively monitoring it, it has already generated some interest within the broader business on how we can actually explore the expansion of this product across, say, different vendors. How can we onboard them? And also across different geographical locations. So right now it's implemented in Australia. We might potentially look at expanding it across other regions as well. My view is start with something manageable, not necessarily small, something you can manage. Monitor, adjust, show result, and then look to expand. Because as much as this is about ROI, which is absolutely important, it's also a change management exercise. And it's quite important that, when you're trying to justify to internal stakeholders, besides that ROI, you're able to demonstrate the impact through change management, which you're going to bring through any initiative.
Yeah, that's absolutely on point. So of course, last but not least, what are some of the advice that you have for similar companies who are also considering such platforms like SourceEdge?
Look, when we started this journey, we went through a rigorous process to ensure that we were selecting a partner, not just someone who knew the business needs, but actually understood them. And we spent a fair bit of time with SourceEdge to ensure they had an understanding of the business need and aligned with our deliverables and roadmap. Now, throughout the initial stage to the implementation and thereafter, SourceEdge, you want to select a partner where they're able to share their experiences with other clients, their own key learnings, their ideas. And we had that relationship with SourceEdge, which was fantastic. And you need to partner with someone that is agile and has a support structure in place, not simply, at the sales point in time or the pre-implementation, but essentially post-implementation as well. In summary, I would say that have a partnership approach, work in an agile way, and focus on the business outcome, not just the technology milestones that you might put in a project plan.
Yeah, okay. I think that's all the questions we have for you today. And thank you so much for your time of joining us.
No, thank you. Thank you, Adeline, and thank you, SourceEdge, for this opportunity. Really appreciate that.
Likewise, we're grateful to have the opportunity to work with Toll Group and with you guys as well.